The Weedsman Podcast. ChristopherMedia.net.
Hello, it is Ryan, and I was on a flight the other day playing one of my favorite social spin slot games on ChumbaCasino.com. I looked over at the person sitting next to me, and you know what they were doing? They were also playing Chumba Casino. Coincidence? I think not. Everybody's loving having fun with it. Chumba Casino is home to hundreds of casino-style games that you can play for free anytime, anywhere, even at 30,000 feet. So sign up now at ChumbaCasino.com to claim your free welcome bonus. That's ChumbaCasino.com and live the Chumba life.
No purchase necessary. VGW. Void where prohibited by law. See terms and conditions. 18+.
With the Lucky Land Slots, you can get lucky just about anywhere.
This is your captain speaking. We've got clear runway and the weather's fine, but we're just going to circle up here a while and get lucky. No, nothing like that. It's just these cash prizes add up quick. So I suggest you sit back, keep your tray table upright, and start getting lucky.
Play for free at LuckyLandSlots.com. Are you feeling lucky? No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. 18+ terms and conditions apply. See website for details.
Judy was boring.
Hello.
Then Judy discovered ChumbaCasino.com.
It's my little escape.
Now Judy's the life of the party.
Oh, baby, mama's bringing home the bacon.
Whoa, take it easy, Judy. The Chumba life is for everybody. So go to ChumbaCasino.com and play over 100 casino-style games. Join today and play for free for your chance to redeem some serious prizes. ChumbaCasino.com.
No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. 18+ terms and conditions apply. See website for details.
Christopher Media. Let's make some noise. From Asthmacore Studios near Detroit, Michigan.
Oh, man.
It's the Weedsman Podcast.
I have no idea what's going on.
And now,
you have smoked yourself retarded.
Here are the Weedsmen.
You want to get high?
Welcome to the Weedsman Podcast. I'm Chris.
I'm Aaron. Welcome back. Regular listeners might notice we were off last week.
Oops.
Yeah, I think there's a lost episode that might crop up.
Like, we sat here. Yeah. We thought we recorded it. We talked into a microphone for like an hour and a half.
That was kind of a new one because I think, every podcast has to have like that episode where they thought they recorded it or, something got corrupted or whatever.
Bill Burr was famous for that when he first started.
Is he?
You hear a podcast, he was like, it'd start with, motherfucker, I had a good podcast. I talked about this and I talked about that. And it turns out I wasn't recording the whole time or the file got this. And so this is my second try.
Because you got a lot of people doing it on their own and they don't have audio experience or something like that. I mean, if you're doing like radio, TV, any of that stuff, you've got backups of some... in some fashion, if you're going to be recording something, there's like a...
Well, just do if you're in radio,
there's some
trained,
sort of redundancy.
That thing's never off. Now, there's a switch that makes it
live
I'm
saying
unlive.
producing for radio, not doing live radio. Live would definitely be different. Yeah, I sat here and did 4 hours of live radio and...
Had the mic off the whole time.
Yeah. People are calling in.
Nobody in the building seemed to notice.
Yeah.
Wow, there's just lots of dead air and then commercials every fucking 15 minutes. It's crazy.
Yeah, but you had mentioned that it's the most obvious things. You said that you might have deleted it.
Yeah, I just think we good old-fashioned, I didn't label something and then deleted it, something that I thought was something else because I didn't label it.
And I, who claimed to have looked everywhere, didn't look in the fucking recycle bin.
Ooh, should we look right now?
Oh, we can look. Let's see what's in there.
Let's see here. Fuck, I gotta clean this
up there in the very upper corner. There you go. Yeah, just double click on that. What's inside of it?
Oh, look at recordings. Weedsman.
No. That's a zip file.
Zip file.
Yeah, that's what. After we record the session, I zip the folder up and then send it over to my computer, and I do the.
All right, and it's from a
post.
month ago. So, all right.
So, it didn't get recorded. Yeah, that's just weird. Like, there seems to be no evidence of
the Phantom Show.
Yeah, there's not like a folder that was created on that day. There's no record of it in the history of any like kind of session being started. Somebody's not being recorded. Oh.
We do also consume weed.
Yeah.
I had that. strangely enough, I felt that happened last show to me. I was going, oh, one of us isn't recording. And then I was like, oh, no, wait, never mind.
Yeah, you just hid the track.
Yeah.
You just scrolled down. Yeah, so there you go, the perils of doing this yourself. Plus, I don't have enough slack on it. This is...
Man, they are hearing how the sausage is made today.
Yeah. My mic keeps drooping, but I realize it's because every time I pull it towards me, the mic cord gets taut and it pulls it back down. So there we go.
It's a podcast about doing a podcast. Oh, this is super meta, kids.
Now let's do 5 minutes on turn my headphones up.
So how about audio boards? What's your favorite digital audio workstation, everybody?
Well, shit was blowing up around here, huh? I don't know if this
Literally. Oh, it was on AP. It was on CNN.
Yeah.
It was on, there was one more national news. Oh, New York Times.
New York Times even did it. So, like, right near us, like, not far from where we're recording now.
And I am not making this up.
Yeah. Let's tell people what it is first. So the actual explosion, right?
Yes.
In Clinton Township, Michigan, it's a smoke shop.
Like a warehouse, an industrial warehouse that had vape supplies.
Yeah. I think I might have been to this place. Like,
back in the day, it was a Save-A-Lot. I know when I saw it, I know exactly what building it was. I knew when they were showing it on a map last night I was watching. I used the internet.
Yeah, so it was a warehouse, so they probably did mail order vape stuff.
Well, what I read is they had recently, last week, they'd received a truck full of butane.
Truck full? Oh, boy.
They'd shipped out half of it, so they still had half of the truck there.
Yeah.
So there's that. There was, vape batteries. There was nitrous canisters. All kinds of combustible shit.
Now, the nitrous canisters, that had to have been, like, completely illegal? Would there be a legal reason for them to have nitrous?
I forget what head shops say they're for.
Oh, you can get, or were they the little ones, that you use for the whipped cream?
Yeah, the whipped cream was mentioned in one of the stories.
Oh, okay. So not like I think like a huge,
no,
4 foot tall thing that you see at raves that you fill up balloons with.
No,
not per se that. It was a bunch of little. Boy, those little ones might be even more dangerous. That's already like projectile shaped.
Oh yeah, but this shit just.
And unfortunately, I guess some 19-year-old kid took some shrapnel somewhere.
Some Final Destination shit.
Yeah,
half a mile away, quarter mile away, got hit in the head and he died.
Yeah, he was probably just going, "What's going on over there?" and lights out.
Man, just based on where it was, my nephew might have known this kid. I'll have to ask him tomorrow. But anyway, but now that we told everybody what it is, real quick, I have to pick on CNN here because it's such low-hanging fruit, and you can Google this because even the New York Times behaved and just said what it was. CNN was the only one to mention flaming switchblades in their fucking headline online.
Flaming switchblades?
Yeah, I will hold on here.
Like they sold switchblades and there were
part of the
switchblades on fire being ejected from the place?
To be fair, some of the pictures of the shrapnel from this place are like somebody holding like a couple of like double-ended like fucking butterfly knives or some shit like that.
Yeah.
So, but here, let me read you the CNN headline here.
So they carried like the type of weaponry that you would find at like trade centers and flea markets.
Oh, cool. They didn't change it yet. Deadly explosions at a Detroit area retail vape shop sent canisters and switchblades caught in the fire through the air. CNN is the only headline like that. Everything else is like vape warehouse in Detroit catches, explodes. CNN has to mention that there were flaming switchblades flying through the air because CNN. Anyway,
the building itself was ablaze for hours, a fire that could be seen for miles. There were constant explosions within the fire throughout Monday night and even into Tuesday morning. Yeah, I guess they lost a fire truck, too. Like, one of the trucks parked too close to it and then ended up getting engulfed in the flames.
Damn! Really?
Yeah. Which I guess is something that happens. You know, you're bound to lose a truck or two.
That's like some shit out of a movie, though. I mean, it
Yeah,
was.
does sound
I mean,
like
I was.
It does.
I was upstairs. Okay, for reference points, I'm not giving away my geographic coordinates here, but compared to where this happened, I live 2 miles north and 4 miles west. Mm-hmm. And I was upstairs in my bedroom last night. First, I thought it was thunder. I checked the radar, nothing. Then I think it's some idiot coming from. I live between two main-ish kind of roads. I thought some idiot with his subwoofer.
Yeah.
Like, ooh, congratulations.
At least they go by slow in my neighborhood. At least they go by fast in yours.
Yeah, right. You can do like 45 on this road, so it's quick. Yeah. So I thought then, after like 5 minutes, okay, it's not one of those. Then there's this dude in the neighborhood who lives across the street. He'll work on his motor. He's got a loud-ass motorcycle. Yeah. But it's like, he wouldn't be working on that thing on Monday. But I'm like, is he? Is he working on his bike at Monday night at 9 o'clock? I was like,
again, if you were in my neighborhood, yes.
I said, your neighborhood's, that's a possibility.
Yes.
Here, me. Yeah. More often, no. But every now and then, you get a guy, okay, it was a nice day yesterday. Had a few beers. I'm going to work on my bike. Maybe, but no, not this guy. So then I'm just like, well, what the fuck is happening? Go out on my porch. And it's pretty evident as soon as I get outside, there is shit blowing up like southeast of here.
Like you see the sky lighting up?
No, I just
heard it?
Like successive. I hear shit like I hear like thunder that never stops.
Okay,
like that thunder in the distance that never stops. There ain't no rain. There's not a cloud in the sky. Radar says nothing. The closest mass of moisture is up in like Minnesota.
Yeah,
like
it's constant explosions.
So I'm thinking like, is shit going down in Detroit? Like, I'm sorry. One of the first things I thought is like, it's just finally happening in Dearborn. But I'm thinking like it's too fucking far away for me. So I'm thinking are they bombing Roseville? What's going on down there? Has Roseville finally had enough? Like did someone kill a cop at like Gratiot and 11 Mile and people are rioting? Who knows, right?
Yeah.
But call my mom. She's freaking out. Her neighbor's over there. It literally, I'm like, what's going on in the background? She's like, that's what it sounds like outside. It sounds like there's people walking down her street just firing guns. Like,
yeah. Really?
Yeah, I guess her dog's freaking out. Her neighbor eventually like leaves and goes to her sister's house or some shit, takes her kids. Like, all right, have fun, old lady. I'm out.
Yeah.
But once I knew where it was in relation to her, you're fine. It's said if there were quadrants based on the intersection, she was in the southwest.
Stay indoors.
Yeah, the explosion was in the northeast. Yeah, don't go outside.
Yeah.
Well, didn't have to tell her not to put the dog outside. The dog wanted nothing to do with outside.
Yeah, my cats would be in the basement.
Yeah.
They don't even wait for thunder. They hear rain start, and they like get low to the ground and go shuffle into the basement real quick. They do that, real low kind of run.
They're not even gonna wait it out to see if there's thunder.
Yeah.
We're gonna go down there just in case. But yeah, it was crazy. And I'm telling you, for like an hour, you could just hear boom, 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 boom.
Meanwhile, the owner of this business is like,
I'm going to go to jail.
Yeah.
Oh, no, and he is.
No, he's sitting in his house like Homer in the Beer Baron episode. Boom, bam, kablamo. Jeez. Shouldn't have had that beef burrito for lunch.
But yeah, it's a little excitement on Monday night. And I live far away from this thing. I live, 8 square miles away from this thing?
You're that far from it?
Yeah.
Jesus.
That's what I'm saying. 2 one way, 4 the other? 2 times 4 is 8, right?
Yeah. It's like somebody just, exploded a giant Bic lighter.
No, it was just, and then I'm on one of our, local TV station's website. I'm just watching the live comments and people are like, I'm here and I can hear this shit. It's crazy. That's all I'm saying. It was. And then even this morning, I'm at the gym. It's 5 or 6 o'clock. There's the reporters on the scene, and that thing was still. There was still an orange glow. They were still fighting that thing. And I was so hoping I would see some men or women on the street that I knew. It was a prime area to see maybe some of the people I graduated with, especially when it came to the middle-aged people.
Yeah.
But no dice. At least not anyone I caught.
See, Clinton Township Fire Chief Tim Duncan, I guess, had a press conference on this, saying, oftentimes the industry ... there's not as much oversight as we should have in these situations. Yeah, I don't think that ... I don't think the ellipses were omitting any part of his quote. I think it was literally just, what do I say here? We're not great about oversight on it. I think that's an understatement. And it's not even like it is, like New York has legal, illegal cannabis businesses that are actually allowed to operate because they've made their process so fucked up that they are essentially looking the other way on these businesses that are currently operating in New York without a license. It's not even, I don't even think like the pot shops. I bet you an overwhelming percentage of the dispensaries operating in Michigan are all above board. Now, the people growing and the people processing, maybe not.
Right.
Maybe not. But the retail, I think that, and that's probably, who has the most eyes on them, the people that are going to be dealing with the public, they're probably pretty above board. But it's not them. It's all these like gas stations and party stores and vape shops.
That's, if you read the article, they're saying that's who were like his customers. The distributor.
Yeah.
That's who he was selling to.
Right. He wasn't distributing to, I don't know, like major retailers or even I don't know if they say vape in there, so it could just be all tobacco products. I didn't see anything about there being anything.
They brought up marijuana too.
They did. Well, the butane makes you think, though. Like,
right.
What are you doing with that much butane?
Yeah, like they took a truckload of butane.
I understand that you're like a distributor, but like you're a distributor for huge tanks of butane? Or are you using that butane? Because butane is common. That's commonly used to process.
BHO.
Yeah, that's butane hash oil. That was really popular for a long time.
Is that what they were making there and they fucked up?
And, that happened a lot of, there were a lot of fires before there were dispensaries. There were a lot of house fires because people were processing, they were making BHO.
Yeah.
In their kitchens and shit. And I've seen people make this shit. And you can do just an evaporation process that takes a long time, or you can cut that by 90% by putting it on a little bit of heat on the stove. But you're putting something that's soaked in butane on a little bit of heat on the stove. So you can imagine how that gets...
So there's that.
Yeah, that gets out of control real quick if you just, well, you've seen like, it's like an oil fire where like you get a little bit of heat, you get a little bit of flame on it and just, everything goes up. Only butane goes up much faster than oil. So yeah,
we've all seen that episode of Parks and Rec where Ron Swanson lost his eyebrows. Butane.
What was he doing with butane? I don't.
He was
remember
lighting the torch for little Sebastian.
Oh yeah.
And Jerry got butane instead of lighter fluid, or vice versa.
I thought they were the same. I don't know. I thought that's what was in lighters was butane, but I guess maybe not.
Or maybe he's supposed to get gas. I don't know. Either way, I know lighter fluid is how Ron Swanson lost his eyebrows. And how this factory lost all 4 walls. I don't know if you've seen the pictures now that it's out. I mean, it's gone.
I haven't, but I imagine there's nothing left.
It is a pile of black rubble. You could see, there's maybe a foot or 2 of the walls left.
Yeah.
But that's it.
Yeah. This guy's indeed, whoever the owner of this business is,
he's going to jail.
Owners,
he's going to jail.
Yeah, not only you're not, insurance is not covering any of this. This is not an act of God. This is your own fuck up. Somebody died.
Oh, you're getting a bill and you're going to jail. If you're out there walking around free right now, enjoy it.
Yeah.
Because it's waning. I feel the year 2025 is going to be a marker for you. Be the last time you walked around as a free man.
Yeah.
The Weedsman Podcast. ChristopherMedia.net.
Hello, it is Ryan, and we could all use an extra bright spot in our day, couldn't we? Just to make up for things like sitting in traffic, doing the dishes, counting your steps, all the mundane stuff. That is why I'm such a big fan of Chumba Casino. Chumba Casino has all your favorite social casino-style games that you can play for free anytime, anywhere with daily bonuses. That should brighten your day a little. Actually, a lot. So sign up now at ChumbaCasino.com. That's ChumbaCasino.com.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. See terms and conditions. 18+.
ChristopherMedia.net. The Weedsman Podcast.
I saw the second part of the Dune 2-part movie series. I guess there's going to be more.
How was that? Did you get the fleshlight that came with the popcorn bucket?
I did not. I think it was $20 for that weird fucker.
Right?
And
I mean, the internet was that's what the internet was having a field day with. Hey, they're going to give you a fleshlight.
Yeah.
When you go see Dune.
You get a popcorn bucket that's ripped for your pleasure. But also, why would you want a popcorn bucket that poked you when you went for your popcorn and made it harder for you to get the popcorn out?
I feel that the last 15 years, why does anyone want anything? I feel half the time now it's because we can.
Yeah. I guess, there is a long tradition of collector's items at the movie theater. Although, I can't think of a single one that would actually be a collector's item. It ends up just being junk that you can find at a flea market.
Do you have your Taco Bell collector's cup from the Batman movie from 1989?
No, I do not.
Me neither.
What was there something special about it, or was it just a plastic cup with
it was just I feel in the late 80s through the 90s there was always a fast food tie-in.
Oh yeah.
For a big movie. I feel you don't see that too much anymore.
Yeah, how come Taco Bell wasn't in on this Dune thing?
You see it occasionally. I saw
ride your worm to the border.
I saw it recently. Somebody did it with something. Hardee's did it with a movie recently. The whatever movie meal. And I was like, really? You went with Hardee's?
Hardee's?
It was the movie.
And that's an odd choice for a fast food joint to do.
I'm not sure it was Hardee's, but it was the movie was rather large, and I thought the chain they picked to do the promotion with, I was like, really? That movie? You're going with that chain? It was something like that.
The Fast and Furious roast beef.
Yeah, it's something that ridiculous.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes, please. I don't know what it is, but I'm going to order it.
Yeah, so we finally got the Dune. Well, I guess it was. Yeah, okay. So 2021. So it was only 3 years ago that we got the first part of it. And, that was a movie that a lot of people liked, but also were it just kind of ends. It builds up to something. And it's if you want to know what this is building up to, come back in a couple of years. Or what ended up being almost 3 years. This movie was supposed to come out in the fall the normal spot where you'd expect a movie of this budget to land. Not usually the type of thing that comes out in February. But it was it was, I guess, purely due to the strike that pushed it back. And rather than push it back a whole year and go for that fall again, I think if this were more of a standalone movie, or even if I'd say more if part one was more of a standalone movie, maybe they would have pushed it. But the fact that you kind of left everybody hanging on that first one, it's kind of unfair to like push it back a whole nother year. So why not just dominate February? It's a weak month. It's an easy one for you to get.
We come in right at the end, too. And, you'd say,
so $82 million.
We start March strong.
This was the box office on it.
Did you like it?
I loved it. I watched part one again to get ready for it, which I would highly recommend anyone to do. Obviously, if you haven't seen part one, there's no point. This movie's not going to hold your hand through any of it. So
it's pretty much assuming, listen, you ain't seen part one, the fuck out of here. Go see part one, then come back. We'll talk.
Yes, it picks up right where they left off at the end of part one.
Do you get a recap?
No recap.
No, it's just bam. You better hope.
Previously on Dune.
You better have had the last 10.
Sand.
You better. I haven't seen the movie to know that's funny. They're like, listen, you better go. We all got streaming service. Watch the last 10 minutes, part one, in your car, and then come in and start watching, because you better be that caught up.
I wouldn't even it's not even just a question of, where exactly did they leave off? There's so much that they're setting up, and there's all these different factions, Is that part? Have you seen any Dune? Did you see the 1984
I've
version?
Seen 0 minutes
of
any Dune.
So
I'm aware it's a story in a desert.
It's about
Sting was in the original.
It's about
wasn't it a David Lynch movie?
Yeah, it was made by David Lynch.
Awesome.
Yeah. It's about he's not a prince. He's I guess the son of a baron.
Well, it's books, right? And they made them into movies?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I haven't read the books, so I don't know any. But the movies, from what I've heard, are very faithful as far as the story that they're telling. He's the son of a baron, so he's got this legacy. He's going to take over his, and this is out in space, so he's a baron of a whole planet, not just an area. And
yes, capitalizing on a Star Wars craze. Continue.
Well, no, so the Dune, the books were written before Star Wars,
I know.
Right? So Dune actually influences Star Wars.
Okay.
On multiple levels. It's interesting how Dune, you take the base concept of desert planet, a young man who's fated to be something, universe changing, an evil empire, all those were elements that George Lucas definitely lifted from Dune. He was lifting from all kinds of sci-fi. I mean, stylistically, it was more he was into the Buck Rogers serials. That's really what he was trying to reproduce in movie form. So
what about Duck Dodgers?
So then there's this feedback loop of Star Wars becomes popular, right? And because of the popularity of Star Wars, they're looking to make other sci-fi, franchises like this. And, Dune is kicked around for a long time before David Lynch makes it. That comes out in 1984.
I also feel the David Lynch version was not as beloved when it came out. Time was kinder to it.
It was definitely,
I feel when it first came out, people were like,
yeah. Well, I think people came to appreciate it for its style. The look, the feel of it. It's a David Lynch movie.
Because
that's what makes it hold up.
I feel it was like, remember that movie that Sting did? Ugh.
Yeah. So, well, before even Empire comes out, the Empire Strikes Back. I couldn't think of the whole name of the film. Right. So Star Wars gets made. They start kicking around Dune as a script. There's a whole documentary about this. What's his name? Jodorowsky. It's a French director, surrealist director. He gets the rights to make this thing. He hires Moebius, who is a comic artist. He hires H.R. Giger, who is you're familiar.
An author?
No. He is the guy who he did all the alien designs.
Oh, yeah.
Right, so he's...
my brain went to artist.
Yeah, he's... but you've probably seen some of his actual art. It has a lot of that same motifs of, very slick, leathery, alien, naked women, lots of bondage imagery and kind of horror elements in it. So they put together this book, the three of them, right, essentially. Not just the three of them, but these three artists. They put together this whole book that is storybooks of this movie, all the costume designs, all the designs of the different cities on the planets, the spaceships, the giant worm monster, all of that gets designed in this book. And the whole project falls apart for whatever reasons. I mean, it was out there. It was going to be if people thought that David Lynch's version was weird, this would have blown their minds if it ever got made. Who knows if it would have been a success at the time or even deemed a success in hindsight. But the designs and that story that were in that book went all over Hollywood. They made a bunch of these because they were trying to sell this. And those, the people that worked on Empire Strikes Back and also worked on Return of the Jedi, the people who worked on the Alien movies, that was all an influence on them. The fact that that was the first time that H.R. Giger's designs ever appeared in anything connected to film. And it was, I don't know who was involved in making the original Alien movie, but that was definitely an influence of hey, look at these freaky designs that he did for this unmade Dune film. Let's get him to design our aliens and ships and all that shit. And even if you look at, again, that loop comes back around because now because of the success of Star Wars, you get this book that almost gets made into a film about Dune, and elements from that book can be directly seen again in Return of the Jedi. You have this nemesis of this giant worm thing on a sand planet, all this stuff comes back again. So anyway, I don't remember where we were going with any of that, but I just wanted to get into how crazy that story is of people look at the Dune got made because they wanted something that looked like Star Wars. Well, yeah, no, but Star Wars got made because he wanted something that felt like Dune, right?
Gotcha. I'm no, this came first.
But okay, so as far as the movie itself, it's exciting. It's far more exciting. It's not even one of these it's a real moody and kind of think piece with some action. No, it's like it keeps you going through the story. It's a fairly long movie. I can't remember what it came in at. I don't remember ever looking at my watch or caring what the time was, but definitely at least like 2.5 to 3 hours, somewhere in between that range. And it just never felt like it, or it certainly never felt like, we could have skimmed over this. Like, it kind of moves at, I don't even want to say a breakneck pace. It's like perfectly paced, Everyone's fantastic in it. Even Timothée Chalamet is just really stunning in this. He is an amazing actor. This is the first,
he's the new It Boy, huh?
Even more so than in part one. Because this was, what really hinges between part one and part two is, part one are all these different forces that want this character that Timothée Chalamet plays. They all want him to be something. The next Baron, some, second coming of some whatever magic person that's going to a savior to the people that live on Dune. Everyone realizes that he has some sort of power, and they all want to use him for their own purposes, basically, but all saying oh no, but you're prophesied. You're supposed to be this. You're supposed to have this kind of power. You're supposed to lead us in this and blah, blah, blah. And part two is kind of him deciding, okay, accepting the fact that he has power, but that he's going to decide what to do with it. And that he's not going to pay attention to what anybody else wants from him. And ultimately, full spoilers on this, but this is kind of a tragedy. It's the story of I want to say Paul Atreides, but it always sounds wrong. But that is his name. That's the character's name, right?
Sure.
Anyway, the story of Paul Atreides, it's a Greek tragedy. It's like, what's the story where, the story of Oedipus was originally, where they get Oedipal complex from.
Oh, yeah.
Right? The idea that, someone might be sexually attracted or at least have, sexual thoughts about their own mother. But, I guess Oedipus was attracted to his mother. He just didn't know that it was his mother, as the story goes. Do you know the story of Oedipus?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. He gets, he's born, and I think it's his father's king, right? And he gets his kid's fortune told, and the woman who does so says, "Oh, well, this is funny. This kid's actually going to grow up to kill you and sleep with his own mother." And father says, "All right, thanks for the heads up." And he says, "In order to prevent this, I'm going to send this kid as far away from us as possible, to the other side of the planet if possible." Right? Sends his kid far, far away. The kid grows up not knowing who his own mother and father is, grows up to be a conqueror and leads his army all the way back to where he came from, not even knowing it. Kills the king of that land and marries the queen of that land, and therefore fulfills the prophecy.
Spoiler alert.
Spoiler alert on, 2,000-year-old story. So,
and he pokes out his own eyes.
Yes, and when he realizes, I think it was the old lady who came back. It was like, I said this was going to happen.
The first documented instance of "told you so."
So, this is kind of a similar story, because there's all these prophecies, and they're telling him, if you do this and you do that, this is going to happen. He's like, well, I just won't do it then, and I can't do that because then this will happen. And then instead, I'm going to do my own thing. I'm going to do it my way. And it turns out he ends up right where he would have been, right where he was prophesied, right where the prophets told him he would be. And the kind of strangest thing about the story is that, and I guess this is, again, more like a Greek tragedy. It doesn't have a protagonist per se. We follow Paul Atreides, and, certainly Timothée Chalamet's job is to make that character charismatic. But not because that character is right, or because that character should be doing anything that he's doing, or any of that. I think it's because you need the audience to understand why everybody else wants to follow him. You have to make him charismatic in that way. But it's not, I think by the end of the movie, it wasn't even a question of do I want to see him accomplish this thing that he wants to do? Or do I want to see him, fulfill the prophecy? It's almost like watching a train wreck. You're seeing everything fall into place, and you're like, oh God, this is the inevitable.
It's going to happen, and he doesn't even know.
Yeah. And it's not really a happy ending, I mean, in one respect, I guess it's I guess the protagonist is the planet that they slangily call Dune, and the Fremen people that live on it. Those are certainly the winners, and ultimately, if you're rooting for anybody in this story, it's them, because they are the repressed. And the not too hidden, not really obscured at all analogy of the story of Dune is all about the east and west of this planet struggling over the middle for resources. Because the planet Dune has spice on it. And what spice does is, who knows how or why, but spice makes spaceships go. So it's spaceship gas. So this planet is full of fuel. And they have to go in and retrieve it and export it off planet so that all the trade in the universe can happen. All the transportation can happen. Right? And, the people who live on the planet have zero say over it. They just have people that come in and claim land and mine it for spice. So, the analogy to what we've done in the Middle East for, since we've had combustion engines is right there on the face of it.
True. Could argue the Saudis have figured out how to get paid for their spice.
Yes.
But that's a different conversation.
Yeah. But this was also, Dune was written in 66, I think, is when it came out. So it was a very different situation back then. Not saying nobody was making money in the Middle East, but
it's a very different place 50, 60 years ago. Absolutely.
I'm sure people were getting paid in the Middle East. They weren't building their own islands.
Yeah. Dubai has got just the wealth there is ridiculous.
Yeah. So it's for a movie that takes place predominantly on a planet that is just sand. It's beautiful. Mm-hmm. It manages to not even bore you in that respect.
Really?
Yeah, you're just every landscape is just stunning to look at, and you don't mind the long gazes at it. And it does have the only other planet they go to is I can't remember what it's called, but it's the Harkonnens planet. And the Harkonnens are all pale, bald people who dress all in black. It's like a whole goth planet. And they have this weird cold sun that just emits white light, and everything is stark on their planet. It's super high contrast, all black and white. And what's really effective in what he does with it is, he has to tell this part, or he wants to tell this part of the story that happens on the Harkonnen planet, but he doesn't chop it up. Doesn't go, I think, which would probably be the instinct of a lot of directors, like, well, we got a lot of sand here. You know, in order to not make the sand so monotonous, we've got this other planet that we can go to that's completely different from it. We can make, you know, and we'll go back and forth. We'll cut between the two stories. Now, what he does is, like, probably the middle, like, 30, maybe 40 minutes of the movie. They just jump to that planet. They tell that story there. It's brutal. And then they go back to the Dune planet.
Breaking it up.
Not breaking it up, though. Giving it to you in a chunk like that. Like, breaking up the Dune part of the movie, yes. But I'm saying, like, I don't know. Directors usually don't do that. Like, if they're going to go to another location, they want to keep you tied to the original location, tell both stories concurrently. I guess it's more how they would do stuff in TV too, you know, like have an A story and a B story, you know. Yeah. So B story, we go to Harkonnen and we meet this guy and he's going to be I guess it was more set up like you had, like TV now does less of the A story, B story, and more of like, we're just going to have a capsule show, right? So like The Bear takes place all in the present tense, and they all reference horrible events that happened in the past. And then they give you one episode of one Thanksgiving Day that's a flashback, and you realize all that horrible shit that they've talked about all happened on one day. So yeah, I'd recommend Dune. There's no two ways about it. You got to watch both of them. I saw it. I mean, I don't know what how big of a difference it is between an actual IMAX, but there's a lot more like fake IMAX theaters around. And the fake IMAX, I guess it's just a little bit taller, but it's a huge ass screen. If you've got one of those around, it's definitely worth going to anything labeled IMAX, because you're just going to get more of it.
More sand.
More sand.
Do you have sand in your shoes?
I also saw Drive Away Dolls, which is, it's directed by one of the Coen brothers. I can't remember which one. Whichever one didn't do Macbeth. It was Ethan. So, I don't know if you're aware of this, but the Ethan brothers, the Coen brothers I don't think permanently, but they've kind of gone separate ways where they've traditionally worked all their projects together and were rather coy until recent history about who was actually doing what, as far as when it came to the writing or directing duties or anything like that. What Josh Brolin was talking about working with the Coen brothers on a recent episode of Smartless. And they came up because they were talking about directors who don't really give you a lot of feedback, which he was fine with. But he's like, the Coen brothers are the worst at it. So he's like, you know you're done when you look up and you just see their backs as they walk away. They don't say, all right, we got it. That's a wrap. Good job. Any of that. They're like, as soon as they see they got that scene, they walk away on to the next thing. So, but who's doing all the real good directing that you see in movies going all the way back to Blood Simple? But, you know, they all, I think it would have to be Joel that's doing most of the heavy lifting here. Because this movie, while fun and, it zips along like with the feel of a Coen Brothers comedy, it's way too rushed. I mean, it's less than an hour and a half, which I'm fine if you manage to fit everything into a nice little compact movie, that's great. But when you're doing all kinds of weird transition effects where like the frame like spins or shakes a little bit or makes a noise or acts like a car and boom, takes off or something like that, like what the fuck are we doing? Like, he doesn't let anything breathe in this movie. It's like a scene is two people talking to each other, and when they're done talking, there's some weird transition, and then they get out of there. They go on to the next one. And I was kind of baffled by it. Saw it with my daughter, and we were looking at each other like, is this a joke that we're not getting? Or is this movie really serious about doing these weird transitions? Now, thankfully, by the second half of the movie, it calms down on that. And that's really the worst of it. All the good stuff about it, really well cast, and some fun writing in it. It's just, I don't think that all the jokes even get a chance to like land. And one of the kind of the biggest shame is that the two leads, these kind of two younger girls that, I don't know, like early 20-somethings maybe, they are really great and actually have some great chemistry together. But there's so few scenes where you even get to see them just in a two-shot with each other. Everything's done in close-ups, which I don't know how many great directors of comedy I've heard say that comedy happens in the two-shot. The comedy is not just the line being said, but the reaction from the people who are hearing the line being said, right? Yeah. Not just that person said something outrageous. The comedy is in part like how the other person is reacting to that.
Half the time, that's the punchline.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, look at Abbott and Costello, right?
Yes, look at them.
Yeah, look at Abbott and Costello. So Lou Costello.
Bud and Lou, yes.
Yeah. Well, which one is which? It was Costello was the rotund one.
Yes.
Yeah.
Lou Costello.
Yeah. So, but anyway, the fat one is going to say something ridiculous, and the skinny one's going to react. Now, it's always funny when the fat one says ridiculous stuff. But if the act was fat guy gets up and says ridiculous stuff,
well, that's Chris Farley.
No. Oh, right. No. That act wouldn't last. What's actually funny is what makes it funny and keeps it grounded somewhat is that other person and how they react to it.
Well, yeah, it's the classic, the straight man.
Right, but he also, it's not just that like he has to like be offended or confused or something like that, but he also has to run with it still.
Yeah, Martin and Lewis, right? Jerry'd be the buffoon. Dean Martin was the straight man.
Yeah, but if Dean Martin, every time that Jerry Lewis did something wacky, he just said, that's it, I'm out of here.
Yeah.
Like a normal person might.
Right.
If you're going to act like this, I'm leaving.
Mm-hmm.
End of act. It's the fact that he's now Jerry.
Yeah, he keeps rolling with it.
Yeah, you're right. Reel him back in a little bit, ground what they're doing in a little bit of reality to keep the viewer engaged. So anyway, yeah, it's a shame that this movie wasn't better directed, honestly, because it has so much going for it. Now, what is this movie? At the end of it, it reveals that, so they show a little card at when the credits are rolling, it says Driveway Dolls, and then, I think there's like posters over it or something like that make up the word dolls, and a car drives by, rips the poster off, and it says Dykes underneath, revealing what I believe was the true name of the script, Driveway Dykes, because that's what it's about. It's about lesbians, and two of them in particular that decide to get away, and in true Coen Brothers movie fashion end up getting away in a car that kind of belongs to somebody else and has stuff in it that other people might need. So, sending them on a wild chase. This movie is raunchy as all get out. If you want to know what happened to raunchy comedies, here they are. They're being poorly directed and wasted by Ethan Coen, unfortunately. But it's such a good script. No, honestly, it's such a short movie. I would recommend watching it because all the all the eye-rolly transitions and short takes and stuff, it goes by so quickly, and you're bound to be tickled by somebody's weird accent or the fact that they're naked or just what they're talking about. Because, this movie is one character is kind of a prude, the other one's kind of a slut, and, trying to get the other one to loosen up.
And hilarity ensues.
Yeah. There's
it's like Perfect Strangers, the gay version.
We went and saw it. There were 3 girls in front, girls that probably about the age of the girls portrayed in the movies, early to mid 20s. And then there were about 5 or 6 girls that were behind us that I swear had to have been in high school, which it was an R-rated movie. I guess I don't even check this shit anymore. And what was funny is that every time somebody got naked or was talking, raunchy stuff about scissoring or something, the younger girls behind us were like, "What?" Okay, we're now an hour into this movie. You know what it is.
Also, you have the internet. Come on.
Yeah. You have this all in your pocket. But the girls in front of us didn't have much to say. And finally, one of them just walked out. There was a scene. What was it that happened? Maybe it was when
she tied the strings on her Amish bonnet, hiked up her dress. Stomped on out of there.
One of the main characters was going to town on herself with a dildo, and was making these crazy faces. And I think that was the point where she got up and she said, "I'm sorry, I thought this was going to be a comedy. I got to go." Oh, and one of the weirdest parts about it was that it kept doing these transitions where, so there was a case, and it was a mystery what was in the case, right? And then, the case was in the trunk of the car that the girls took, and other people wanted it back. And they'd zoom into the case, and they wouldn't show you what was in it, but all of a sudden everything would go psychedelic.
Maybe it's just a terrible comedy.
No, it was
I don't know. There were
wait, but hear me out. It was a well-written comedy that was poorly directed. So yes, ultimately, it was a good movie. No, it's a good comedy. Yeah, because it was funny.
It
was funny.
Raved about Tropic Thunder, and I fucking hated that movie. Oh, that movie was terrible. I've seen that movie once. I'll say it. I said it before, and I'll say it again. If Tom Cruise is the best part of your comedy movie,
oh, but he's not. He's a little iced
that has an alleged comedy tour de force as its cast. You have a script problem, or directing problem, or maybe it's just a terrible movie.
I don't think they have any problems. I think the movie would have been just fine without Tom Cruise in it, but I like him in it. I think it's well directed.
That was the only part of that movie I laughed at. Was any part with Les Nessman.
That movie tickled me.
I thought the comedic talents in that movie with the people they had in that cast were fucking wasted.
Well, so they keep doing these transitions where they look into the case, or even not when they're looking at it, just when they don't know what to do. And again, this is under an hour and a half movie, and they're doing these pretty lengthy psychedelic, swirling lava lamp type of effects and people dancing in shadow and, weird, psychedelic sitar music. And both me and my daughter are like, what is any of this that has nothing to do? This movie doesn't take place in the 60s. It takes place in I think maybe late 90s, early 2000s. They don't make any reference to it. Why do they keep doing these weird psychedelic transitions? And then you find out that what's in the case is a bunch of casts of penises. And then I go, oh, now this is making sense. That's when I had to turn to my daughter and say to her real quickly, oh, so you understand this in context. In the 60s and 70s, there's a woman named Cynthia Plastercaster.
So it's bad writing. Like, you have to, like... Yeah, if you have to sit there and tell somebody a story about
it's bad directing. No, you're right. Look, I'm not defending it as it's not a bad movie. It's a bad movie with a lot of promise, and it's not in the writing. I'm sure the script didn't say, okay, and here's where we're going to put number 5 of weird unexplained transition. Like, that's all Ethan Coen. I guarantee you. Written by Ethan Coen and Trisha Cook. So I'm giving Trisha Cook all the credit here for anything funny that happened in this movie. But no, it does eventually tie in, but it's not like one of those aha moments where you're like, oh, now this makes sense. You're like, oh, that's why they had all that dumb shit in the beginning? Oh, okay.
Boy, a Plastercaster reference. That's timely for the 25-year-olds.
The names have been changed to protect the innocent, so I think they call her Trisha Plastercaster in this movie. And they have
she's dead now, right?
This takes place in the 90s because Matt Damon plays a character who's supposed to be a Clinton analog, right? He's a Southern senator. Is he a senator? No, governor. I'm sorry. Southern governor with a kind of weird past, creepy past, who might be the next president, right? And so that's why they're after this case, because one of those phalluses is Matt Damon's characters, the fake Clinton character. They don't call him Clinton. Yeah. So, and that's also the dildo that one of the main characters is fucking. She's like, I like that one the best.
Cynthia Plastercaster, Bill Clinton, are they just trying to get 18-year-olds to come see this movie, or?
Yeah, that's another weird thing about it, is that, like, what
Who's
your audience here?
Is this a boomer movie?
And I'm not saying you can't do that, but if you're going to do that, if you're going to have those types of references, then you're going to have to set that up.
I believe you literally had to explain a reference to an 18-year-old.
Yeah. So, yeah, 2 very different movies that I saw this weekend. So I think we can wrap it up.
All right. At the Weedsman 420 is where you find us on social media. Go to ChristopherMedia.net. It has a PayPal button if you want to help us out. It's also if you just want to cut out the middleman. You can get the show there. You can subscribe to the show there if you want. But if you don't, and wherever you do listen to the show has the ability to rate and review the show, please do it. Also, just tell somebody. Go, hey, I like this podcast. You should listen to it. You share it. Hey, you got an iPhone, you can share it. Go, hey. Just click it, share it, find their name, boom, done. And then they can go to Apple Podcasts. They can rate us and review us as well. That's how this whole thing works. Please and thank you. And also, stay high.
Stay high.
The Weedsman Podcast.
ChristopherMedia.net.